Cool, so here we are. James Foster, welcome to the podcast. How's it going, man?
Yeah, real good, thanks. Real.
So I guess the best place to kind of kick off, obviously want to hear about yourself as well, but the thing that you're sort of best known for and your job is the sort of world famous Revolution bike park. How would you, for someone who say hasn't even seen a photo or a video of Revs, how would you even begin to describe that place?
Well, this bike park in the village of Llangynnog in Wales, and it's somewhere where we've worked for the last 10 years building trails on the hill, and it's a good place for people to come and ride the bikes and progress as a rider and have fun as well, I suppose.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'd obviously seen videos and stuff until I'd never actually seen it. I never met you guys until the last 6 months when we sort of moved down here. It's pretty gnarly setup. When you it'd be cool to hear the sort of backstory of Revs and stuff, and we'll get to there shortly, I think. But how do you even, when you get to a hill like that you've obviously acquired, where do you even begin with starting to put trails and build stuff on that sort of terrain?
Well, the first thing we did was literally put a flag at the top of the hill. Me and my brother went up there. There was no real access up the hill, so you couldn't drive all the way to the top of the hill. You couldn't even see where the highest point was. So we literally went in, and the trees were a lot smaller then, so it was real kind of dense. So we literally, first job was go in there on our hands and knees, looking to find the highest point in the hill, put a marker there, and first job was to build a road to the top of the hill to that point. And so that was the first thing we did. And then obviously from that is where the trails start, and we know where they're going to finish. And yeah.
So there's literally did you just kind of acquire that place a while back?
We bought the forest and the quarry area. It was just roughly 10 years ago now. So
how do you even did you always have this idea that you wanted to build a bike park, and were you just basically looking for different sites?
No, there was this kind of a process of about 18 months before we bought the land where that the idea came from. Nowhere, and then we ended up somehow moving and doing it, and it all just went from there. Yeah. We just looking online for land which kind of could be suitable. We looked quite into another spot further south in kind of mid Wales it was, and we did a lot of work looking into that and kind of the planning side of it, but the sale actually fell through at the last minute. But it was best thing that ever happened, because then we found this block of land where we are now, and I don't think we could have found a better spot for us to do what we wanted to do. So
no, it's interesting you say that. I think one of the sort of themes of everyone I've spoken to, almost everyone has a story where it doesn't obviously that's a different example compared to maybe most athletes, where they have something that happens and at the time literally feels catastrophic.
That's life, isn't it?
And then 3 years down the line or 10 years down the line, you look back and you're thank fuck that happened. Otherwise we wouldn't have what we have today, and it would have been way shitter if that had actually happened.
I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Yeah. And like I say, it might be shit at the time, but you don't know what's round the corner. Yeah. And in my experience, it's that them situations have kind of paid off with the bike park. So
do you feel the bike park that you guys have now is so much better than what it would have been if you had got that previous place?
A million times. Everything's better about it. Yeah. Location, hill, the dirt, everything. So, best thing ever. It was disappointing at the time, but the best thing that happened was that.
So did that, when that fell through, did that sort of put everything back quite some time?
It did a bit, but we were quite fixated on getting land with property on it to start with.
Yeah.
And which actually narrowed our, the pool of places we could possibly do it at. And after that falling through, that's when we actually looked at single blocks of land and then, property close by that you could live in, kind of thing. So that kind of opened up a few more options. Yeah. And then we'd actually looked at the forest that we've got now in the process before, but we didn't really chase it up because, like I said, we were looking for something with property on it. So, yeah.
That's cool. So when you basically buy that plot of land, like, are you just basically cutting around in it on quads or motorbikes or something to kind of get? Because it's just like I've only ever like bought a house. I can't imagine like because you must find things after you've like it must be crazy to like buy something and then actually then sort of assess the true scale and what's actually there once you've already bought it.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it, we were absolutely crazy to do what we did.
Yeah.
And it was such a gamble, with everything that, my whole family had worked for. It was a big gamble to do it. And especially, like, we didn't have planning permission when we bought the land. And obviously you need planning permission to run a business like that. So, it was a right punt, but, I kind of always had I knew that if we had this opportunity, I'd make it work. Yeah. So, and everyone had, kind of faith in that. So we're here now. Yeah.
That's class. It'd be cool to hear some more about the sort of history, but I guess in the sort of recent term, I know it's now feels what's boring to talk about COVID and stuff like that, but I think people will be interested to hear. Because you guys sit in a kind of weird place in that the bike industry is kind of booming.
Yeah. And
a lot of bike shops and stuff are doing really well. Obviously, there's other challenges. You sort of sit in this weird place where you can't open, basically.
We're definitely sat on the harsh side of it. I think also, all the bike parks, all the riding places that rely on, people coming to them to survive. It's been a terrible year. Yeah, really, and everyone's just had to do what they can do to survive and hopefully come out the other side of it. And hopefully we're getting to that point that is, the end of the tunnel or whatever. But it's certainly been a bad year. Yeah, for the bike parks.
So in terms of like turning back to like March, which is exactly 12 months ago now, did you guys kind of see it coming, or was there ever like sort of real touch and go moments where you were like trying to think like, what the hell are we, like, can we actually make it through this?
Well, we're still probably in that now, to be honest. Like, it's the amount of basically money you got to spend to stay there. We looked in, we've obviously tried to reduce all our, costs as much as possible, because we've near enough, that it has been 12 months now. They said on the radio, it's 12 months today. And, we've opened, I think 3-4 months maybe out of that year at very reduced capacities as well. So obviously the revenue, the money we've taken's drastically down from normal. So we've had to reduce, the cost of the business as much as we can. Unfortunately, we had to lay some staff off, a lot of the part-timers, kind of thing, the drivers we had to lay off. No, not really a nice thing to do, but no choice in that situation. Yeah. We've managed to keep, a few of the kind of full-time members, like on furlough, which still, we still got paid towards that, if you know what I mean. It's not, the government obviously have done, as far as I'm concerned, an amazing job in that aspect of keeping people in work. you know, we've still got to pay for all our insurances, mortgage on place, on some of the stuff, you know, all that stuff. So the outgoings are still big.
Yeah.
With not much money coming in, it's obviously a worry. So, but I do feel like we are, you know, we are lucky as a business that we believe that when we do finally reopen, we'll be busy and we'll, you know, recover from this. And there'll be many businesses that unfortunately probably won't. So, you know.
Yeah, I guess hopefully you guys will get a sort of delayed benefit of the bike boom. In that you'll have all this sort of I can only imagine there's a serious pent up demand for you know, new and existing customers. Yeah,
like you said, the bike business has been booming, so some more people are buying them bikes. So, you know, more bikes equals there's going to be more riders wanting to use the bike parks. They're not all going to end up at ours, but some of them will. So.
Sounds like a recipe for being pretty busy, but also potentially a little bit of carnage with all these either people who haven't ridden there for a while or brand new riders.
We were talking, me and my brother was talking about that yesterday actually. Yeah, like new riders and people are going to be, you know, like I am, gagging to get back on that uplift and ride the hill and the other bike parks. You know,
that'd be class to see when people finally get back.
It's a quiet place. It's been a real quiet place.
Yeah, we've obviously been quite lucky in that you guys have been really signed to let us come and do some shoots there and stuff. So it's been cool to, after seeing it in so many videos over the years, to actually finally see the place. And it's definitely some setup. So if everyone who's listening who hasn't been there should go check it out when you guys obviously open. Yeah. In terms of like the whole COVID stuff, you've obviously talked about the sort of drastic downsides. Has there been any positives to take from it, either personally or from a business perspective?
I mean, it's given everyone a little break, I suppose. One of the positives for me is that I've actually kind of been forced out to go and look for other work elsewhere. I say forced, it's something that I've really wanted to do for the last few years, go and start looking at trying to get work doing film projects and, you know, that kind of stuff. So this is kind of giving me the kickstart and the time to do that, you know, and obviously being able to go and work elsewhere doing other stuff has brought, you know, money in that we can keep the bike park afloat for a bit longer. Yeah. You know, so that has been a benefit kind of thing. And, you know, I was thinking about it driving over on the way here. It's like, you know, they've just said on the radio it's been 12 months since start of lockdown. And so in the last, I think lockdown started and all staff got furloughed, and I think I lasted about 4 days at home before I had to start doing something else. Yeah. And so I kind of just messing around, building a little pump track with my lad. Yeah. And then was doing that for a couple of weeks, and then got some work on building a film, like a line for a film we made. Oh, yeah. So then we shipped out, like took all our equipment over to where we're building that, and then basically near enough been doing that for the last 12 months, and we've done like 4 or 5 different things. Yeah,
it's funny how it all works out, isn't it? Like,
you know, and
again, it's like one of those situations where you're like, you might look back at it and
one lead has led to the next, and I've really, really enjoyed doing that stuff because it's kind of a bit different from the stuff we'd say building the bike park, and
just getting a bit of a fresh perspective.
There's definitely been a silver lining that.
Yeah, and I suppose like you mentioned there, being able to spend some more time with your son, I think, whilst I'm sure it can be testing being at home for extended periods of time, there's definitely been so many stories of people getting to spend more time with their family.
Yeah,
this year, which has been pretty
cool.
That's
one of the things that I'm trying to do is make more time, because, you know, everything the last, you know, so many years have been so consuming of my time. Yeah. And the bike park's kind of like consumes everything. It's I'm trying now to get more of a balance that I need to be able to free up my time to do more stuff with them, and you know, I should be able to have a bit more time now. Hopefully,
it won't be long till you put him to work, though. I'm sure.
Well, yeah, he's already driving. Like every time we go to the yard, he wants to drive this little 1-ton digger around and driving quad and stuff like that. He's got a little PW50, teaching him to ride. And
have you got him a bike yet? Like a mountain bike?
Yeah. He's been riding. Like, he started on a balance bike when he was tiny, like near enough when he was walking, he was pushing it around. Yeah. And then he's been on a pedal bike for about a year now. So yeah, he's got an early rider, one of them early rider. I can't remember the name, Helion or something. Amazing little bike. It's got little disc brakes on it, and
it's insane, the kids' bikes now, isn't it? Like, when I look back on how stoked, like the sort of stuff that we'd end up riding as bikes back in the day. Sound like a right old bastard here, like, but compared to like the insane sauce bikes and stuff you can get for kids now.
I can't imagine how how good the kids are going to be in the future, because like you just said, when I first started riding a bike when I was young, we were riding like footpaths and basically that's it. And now, like, they've just got everything, can't they? That they can just, like, my lad was riding his balance bike and riding around like a berm to start with. That was one of the first things he were learning to do. Yeah. So
he's definitely got the opportunity to got some good terrain on his doorstep.
Yeah.
The youngest ever rider through Vision Line or something like that.
He keeps saying he wants to do it, but he's still only like 4 and a bit. So
I think you might get into some trouble if you send him down
Vision. I've had him up riding there. There's a few, there's a bit of the Red Trail. Yeah. It's kind of like a flat, straightish bit. So we go up there and ride that a bit, and I take my e-bike, and I've got one of them little shotgun seats.
Yeah.
He's actually a bit too big for it now. So put him on that old bike, ride back to the top, does it again. So, but that's the kind of stuff I want to make more time to be able to do. Like in the summer, this summer, I'm planning on trying to like get up in bike park, probably in like weekend mornings before bike park actually opens, do a bit of riding with him and stuff. So.
Is Revs open? Obviously, it's different for your son because you own and run the place. What is the age limit for Revs?
They're kind of.
It's a bit of a grey area.
I don't know what the official. They'll almost certainly say on the website there's an official age limit, but we've had. I think the youngest person's about 7.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, someone of that age, parents get in touch via talk to Sash on emails, and someone of that age, they'll almost certainly have been. They'll have done riding before. Yeah. So they kind of like. I think the young kid had done like a season or a holiday with his dad in Alps or something. So they were like, "Oh, he's ridden here," and I think it's sent like a link or whatever to him riding. So Sash, so we can actually see he can ride, and that kind of situation, as long as they've ridden before and they know what they're letting themselves in for, they come along with the parents and ride with the dad or mum all day. It's kind of, it's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess it's just a difficult one because you guys have gone. There's obviously a range of different trails, but it's typically like Revs is like a out and out downhill sort of.
We've never aimed at beginner riders. Yeah, it's never been something that we've wanted to do or tried to do because there's so many amazing places for beginners to go and ride. Yeah, that they might as well go and ride there first, and work their way up to places like ours.
Does it then make it quite difficult for you guys to sort of get that balance of allowing as many people to come ride, but trying to sort of just make sure people ride within their limits and stay safe as well?
I think, it's a dodgy sport, isn't it, riding through a forest at speed, so there's always going to be issues with that. But we've always tried to aim at intermediate to pro level. Yeah. And I think that's kind of the like level of tracks we like making, you know, and it's kind of always worked for us being, you know, more of that set up for the experienced riders. You know, like I say, but there's no point us going in and trying to build all stuff for beginners, because our reel's not really set up for that.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of better places for people to go. Like, you know, like Bike Park Wales, they've got, you know, I've not actually been, but they've got a full selection of trails. You know what I mean? They've got loads of blue trails. That's an ideal place for people to go and, you know, learn, practice. And then if they want to take it up, you know, there'll be a few of them, won't there, who want to get better and keep getting better at riding, and some of them end up at ours, I think. So we have talked about making a kind of a blue trail at some point, and it's maybe something we will make in the future. But you know, it kind of, even then, it's not going to be like beginner trail, if you know what I mean. It'll be a blue, but it's still going to be like.
I'm sure you guys will find a way to make it a little bit more.
So
having to remind yourself every day that you're actually building a blue trail, not to put like a big.
That's
cinder.
one of the hardest things. You know, one of the hardest things about building on that hill is, you know, making it so it's for such different skill levels, which is, you know, when we've been doing all these projects this year, we're building stuff for one specific rider.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's very different.
I guess it's pretty sort of testament to how sort of deep and how good the scene is in the UK that you guys can be that busy in a bike park that's got such advanced trails, if you know what I mean, because you guys are literally having hundreds and thousands of people coming there that are like at that level of riding it. It kind of shows just how strong the scene is in the UK.
I think it's an amazing scene. I mean, I only know about our little one. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I just spend my life around here. So what goes on everywhere else, I not really aware of it, but I know what's going on around this place, and there's so much stuff going on, and, you know, so many amazing riders, you know, there's lots of kids starting to ride around here. And, you know, they've got such good facilities, not just the bike park, just everywhere around here to ride and progress as riders. So such
a good strong scene of pros as well, which I guess must be so inspiring for
there's a lot, you know, there's so many of them around, isn't there?
The fact that you can kids could probably just go down local trails and bump into Decade and Chaos and Leo, Vero, Tanya. It's pretty insane how many
there's so many of them around, and you know, they're part of, you know, reason pushing the scene around the area, so it's good.
With regards the whole thing with e-bikes, we've obviously chatted about it a little bit, and we've been riding e-bikes together as well. It's sort of no.
Hey, brother.
I'm
down with it, mate.
No secret that we all love them. I know they're quite controversial, but from your perspective, in terms of, I know you love to ride them.
Yeah.
In terms of business and stuff, do you see e-bikes as a potential threat to your business, or do you think it's an opportunity?
No.
Yeah.
No. They're just a different way of riding, aren't they? Like, they're not a threat to our place, because it's like, you're never going to do as much riding on an e-bike on our hill as you are on an uplift. Yeah. No matter what you see or read, it ain't happening. Yeah. So,
well, I think I tried to keep up with the track the other day on the uplift when I was on my e-bike. And
if you come to ours on an e-bike and you've just got one battery and you just went up and down the hill doing laps, you probably get about 4 or 5 things. You know, come and do an uplift. Records 26 runs.
Really?
So
arms hanging off by the end.
Exactly. It's like they're amazing, and they're actually real good fun riding them on our hill. I really like it, but it's just not the same, is it? As an uplift. So
do you think in terms of I guess it's kind of relevant to bike parks all over the place as well as ski resorts, because your business model essentially, you you use the money from the uplift,
Yeah.
or if in ski resorts example, it would be for the tows,
Yeah.
and they use that to basically invest in the trails and the slopes and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think you would then have some sort of setup where you have people would maybe pay an amount of money? Obviously, it'd be less than, or maybe it could be less than, say, paying for uplift.
What, to ride
then,
up on an
to then
e-bike?
ride the e-bike on a different day or something like that, or how could it?
Well, I mean, we are thinking of doing that.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, I've obviously ridden the hill quite a bit on an e-bike, and it is, if you're riding it with your mates and session the hill and ride it differently to how you would an uplift, it's real good fun. And that we are, and before Corona, we were in the process of setting up some e-bike days. So it's on the day, probably midweek days when we're not open.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to ride. You wouldn't be able to run uplift as well as
it's just
e-bikes.
not set up our hill for that. It's just there's not enough room for the Land Rovers and e-bikes. You just couldn't do it safely. So, but yeah, days maybe when we're not open, I think we might end up doing it. Yeah. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
No one knows anything at the moment. So.
Yeah, it must be so difficult to kind of deal with the uncertainty and things just constantly getting pushed back and stuff.
We're just waiting to, we kind of thought we were going to open sometime after the 12th of April maybe, but now I think it might be sometime after the 22nd now.
Right, okay.
So, but like nothing's.
So you guys taking bookings from the 22nd?
I think we're taking bookings from the 12th onwards.
Okay.
But like it's looking like that first couple of weeks isn't going to happen now. So obviously, when we know that for sure, we'll obviously refund everyone, and that's basically what's been happening for the whole year. Yeah. People have been booking, a month or so, a couple of months in advance. We get closer to that time, it's not happening, so send the money back. And then they hopefully rebook later on, kind of thing. So, but the bookings have gone crazy. We're so busy. Yeah. But so as soon, like I said earlier, as soon as we can open, we're going to be hopefully okay. So, we're just rushing around, trying to get the hill ready, and doing random stuff to get ready for that moment.
I look forward to seeing it. Busy. Where did it'd be cool to sort of get an idea of your sort of story, because I'm not an accent expert, but you're living in Wales, doesn't sound like you're from Wales. Where were you sort of born and brought up, and how did you sort of discover bikes?
So I was brought up in Sheffield, in Totley, which is just on the edge of the Peak District. So amazing place to grow up, and same as everyone. I'm 43 now, so I'm obviously born ages ago. And that time we were just riding bikes with mates, as everyone does as kids, just ragging around footpaths, just all that kind of stuff. And then kind of, I think I'm so crap at remembering dates or time or anything like that. When I think it was about 14, 15, me and a friend started doing, cross-country races. Yeah. Because, that's all there was kind of thing. So did a few years, I think till I was about 17, 16, 17, something like that. So I did 2 years of XC racing, and then stopped. Basically, I just stopped riding, and then, probably mainly regretting life that stopping riding. And then I still lived in Sheffield until I was 22, and then I ended up going to Australia for a year.
Whereabouts in Australia were you?
In Perth, WA. Yeah, so I went there like most people do, intending on doing a big backpacking tour and all that stuff, and I'm literally the worst backpacker ever. First night, stayed in some dodgy backpackers, said I'd never stay in the backpackers again, and then found somewhere, some accommodation to stay in, and then ended up staying there because my missus ended up, like, she lived next door to that house that I moved into, so kind of got with her after a month or so hanging around in Perth, got real friendly with Sash and never left and stayed.
Cool. So that's your current partner?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've been with Sash for like 20 years now.
Mental.
So yeah, and then we moved from Australia back when my visa ran out, moved back to Cornwall because I've always had kind of ties with Cornwall. Like, growing up, I've always gone on holiday to Cornwall. So ended up moving to Cornwall because I was a chef at the time. So just worked there in had a job lined up kind of when I came back from Australia. So, and then ended up living there for like 10 years in Cornwall, and then moved from Cornwall to where we are now. So
you kind of from like 14 to, how long did you then not ride bikes for, essentially?
Ages.
Oh, really?
Like, I only started riding bikes again about 2 years before buying the bike park.
Oh, really?
Probably less, maybe.
What was it that sort of got you back into, what happened that you got into bikes again?
Just random. I was like I said, living in Cornwall, I was well into like surfing and bodyboarding, so that's kind of what I did all the time. Yeah. Just obsessed with that stuff. Never been on a bike for ages, kind of thing. And then like one of my best mates who lived in Sheffield was coming down to see us in Cornwall. He came down and he brought he'd got a couple of bikes, so he brought his spare bike, like a hardtail with like suspension forks on it. Yeah. Brought that down, and then he'd found a place like in Cornwall where we could go riding. So kind of went with him on that, and then it all went from there.
It's funny how like such big things like can happen from just like one.
Yeah.
Like if that guy hadn't you might still be in Cornwall surfing and Redswood,
I'd probably in Australia. Yeah. Surfing somewhere. Don't know. But yeah, he brought that down, went to this place called Paradise Valley, and just like rode around, did a couple of like little jumps and stuff, and just got in, loved it again straight away. And I think like bikes had come on differently, even though it was just like a hardtail with suspension forks. That's the first time I'd ridden a bike with suspension, because when we used to race, they were just like rigid XC bike. Yeah. With like little handlebars like that.
So like what? Even though you've been off the bike for ages, you probably almost like because of the bikes are that good, it feels better.
So I got on that thing, and I just remember like just loving it, and then it literally went from there. Like just same as normal. Kind of got obsessed with it, and if I get obsessed with something, it's a dangerous place. And then, so I lived kind of in the middle of nowhere in Cornwall. In quite a rural place, a lot of my mates were like farmers and stuff like that. So one of my mates, James Trounds, he kind of got into biking at the same time as me. Yeah, okay. Like got back into it kind of thing. So, but kind of where we lived, there wasn't anywhere to ride. And if we wanted to go anywhere, it was like quite a drive. So like I said, my mate, they're all farmers down there. So my mate like asked the next farmer along from his whether we could go and mess around in these little woods he'd got, because there's not really any hills or any big like hills there. It's all like farmland kind of thing. So it's kind of like this little valley bit, and so the hill was tiny kind of thing, but we got permission to go in there and just go and mess around kind of thing. So me and him just like, went down there and started building our own stuff. And then it just kind of went from there. We just like the first stuff we made, honestly, was so dodgy. Yeah. So dodgy.
Is that your first sort of Is that your first building sort of experience?
Yeah,
or did you build as a kid as well? I guess
no. As a kid, we never did anything like that. You just go out and ride bridle ways and stuff. Didn't even really enter. I don't even think anyone ever thought about.
So what sort of age are you at this point then? When you started digging, essentially?
So like 30.
Oh, okay.
30, something like that. Chef. I was, like I said, I was chef at the time. I had my own little business going on, just cooking, meals in people's houses, and I used to cook like lunches at on a shooting estate and stuff like that. And then like just got obsessed with like these woods.
Yeah.
And then 12 months after starting to dig in them woods, we'd progressed a bit as riders, progressed a bit of builders kind of thing. So, and then started building more and more stuff, and just got so obsessed with it. And I knew I had a problem when I was like turning work down.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, sorry, I'm busy working elsewhere, when really I was just going to go and like make some crap jumping woods. But just loved it. Just obsessed with that process of making stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I don't know, I kind of felt like it was like one of the first times I'd really found something that I could like be good at.
Yeah.
Or I had the want to be good at it, should I say. So, and then, the whole like bike park idea stemmed from being in them woods.
So it sounds like a pretty rapid turnaround from living in Cornwall, surfing as a chef, not even riding bikes, to suddenly having like a massive bike park.
Yeah, to go from not even riding bikes to like, I'm not too sure on the exact time frame between first ride moving to Wales, but it was all probably done in 3 or 4 years max. But yeah.
In terms of like learning to build, then do you just basically teach yourself essentially, and just like build something, ride it, doesn't work, build it different?
Totally. Like if I think about what we did when we first actually moved up here, and like Jesus, we really didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably was a good thing, because we've just like self-taught ourselves over the years what works and what doesn't. Yeah. So, we've never, there isn't a trail building school or anything like that, is there? Yeah. So, and it is kind of one of them things that you just need to do it, and then you learn what works for yourself, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty mad to think of that as a sort of turnaround. What's the sort of time frame from, say, like first going up, like when you first put that flag in the top at Rebs, to actually
first
taking punters on the uplift? Because it must be such an insane task.
We were working well over a year before anyone came on site. So it took us so long to make a road. So
just financially must have been pretty tough to sort of to start a business and then have a whole year of what sounds like must be pretty expensive.
Yeah, that was one of the things. But we had no money. We didn't pay ourselves. We didn't pay me and Tim didn't pay ourselves for years.
Yeah, so Tim's your brother.
Tim's my brother. He's the partner in the business. So me and Tim kind of own the business, I should say, but me, Tim and Sash have worked as a team since day one of this thing of the bike park. So we're kind of like the core group.
They make it kind of thick. That's pretty cool. It's just quite very much a sort of like family affair.
Yeah, it was the whole family had to change what they were doing to make it happen. Yeah. My mum an amazing, perfect house in Cornwall on the beach.
Did your mum come up with you as well?
Yeah.
And was your brother living in Cornwall too?
So Tim lived in Devon,
Okay.
and he was like a consultant for NHS, something to do with like the computer side of things. Okay. And then my mum and dad were living in Cornwall, same place as where me and Sash lived.
Cool.
Same kind of little village.
So it was very much like everyone up and go to... And
it was kind of like going back to how the bike park kind of started. It was, various like circumstances and of everyone involved that led to it happening. If you know what I mean, like my brother wanted to do something different. My mum wanted to like move back up country. I was kind of like doing like I said, I was looking for something to do in life, should I say? And it was all them circumstances that led to that point that everyone was willing to change what they were doing, which sell up, move.
And each one of those ones was pretty important as well. Like if just one of those ones wasn't the case. My
mum and dad, if it wasn't for them, it'd have never have happened. It literally would never have happened because it was, them selling their house and what they'd done previously, which enabled us to stump up basically the money to buy a forest and somewhere to live up here. Yeah. So we all had to live together for a fair few years. Oh, really? Because we had no money.
You're back living with your parents?
Yeah, back living with my mum and dad, and Tim had like an outbuilding that he lived in, and the house was quite long cottages, so it's kind of separate, but still all together. Yeah. So, but it was just one of them things that we had to do. If no choice about that if you want to make the business work. So it was the only way that we could live without spending money, kind of thing.
Yeah. So you're basically doing. I've seen it firsthand as well. Like you're definitely grafters, you boys. What sort of like when you're going through that sort of year, you must be like literally digging throughout the winter and stuff. How do you sort of keep yourself sort of motivated when the sort of task must just seem so like sort of... Yeah. It must seem mammoth at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it always is.
What Revs is now.
If anything, it's even more now because it's just like there's so much more. But I don't know, like in the early years, obviously, like I just blagged my mum and brother and everyone to sell their houses and move. So
I guess that's
is like
not an option.
Not really an option. So that was obviously a big motivation. It still is, for my mum to do what she did for us, mum and dad to do what they did for us, Yeah. You can't really,
Yeah, you feel like you can owe it to them to basically keep going and digging and making it.
Putting their faith into us for doing it. So, and most of the time I love what I do. Yeah. So, that's
I guess that's the key to, because otherwise it would just be a drag.
And now, like trying to build and create something, that will hopefully be all right for my lad as well. Mm. He'll get good use out of it, and just I don't know, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it must be pretty cool to like show your family who aren't necessarily like into riding. Yeah, like taking them up and like showing what you've built, because like when you're actually, I find it with my parents, if I'm trying to explain what I'm doing or whatever, it's like they can't quite understand until you actually show them the finished article. So it must be pretty cool to like show those guys like what you've built.
It's my mum often says how amazed she is at what we all of us do there, and it's it is a bit mind-blowing. If someone who don't ride bikes and they go up and look at Vision Line, they're like, they just don't get it, if you know what I mean.
It's pretty amazing like how much of the landscape you can change. And obviously you've got machines, but like it's pretty crazy. Like even just watching you boys like dig like a kick around or whatever. like one or two people. It's pretty mental, like sort of scale of like something that you guys can do in like a day, let alone a year. I mean, you can completely change the landscape of like the whole side of the hill. It's pretty mental.
One of the things is like, you know, on our hill, we've got like amazing dirt. We've got like different dirt either side and fruit middle, just amazing dirt. And we've just been so lucky with that, if you know what I mean. Like, to get that. So it's just, you know, it makes things easier when you've got what you need on that hill.
Yeah.
So we've just, like, I think one of the issues with our hill, because the good one of, like, that's the plus of it. We've got really good dirt. One of the bad things about it is like there's not actually that much on that hill. Yeah, it's quite like,
there's not like there's not too many like obvious features to work with.
Yeah, really, you want like undulating ground, I'd say. Mm-hmm. But ours is just like one level. So anything we make, we have to change that.
Yeah, okay. So basically you have to put a lot of work into just making a flat piece of trail, I guess. Yeah. Or like a switch.
Like if you want to make like a series of jumps in grounds like that, you've got to make the bomb holes, haven't you? Yeah. So we've always had to do that. So I was thinking a few days ago, like the 50-1 line, you go and walk down that, it's insane considering like it used to just be a flat piece of ground. Yeah. So we've always had to manipulate the ground to make the features, where in some places you can probably use the lie of the land like better. So, you know, we've always had to do that, so we're hopefully getting pretty good at doing it.
Nah, it's cool. It's definitely pretty awesome to see like some of the lines. I think like you said, like the 50-1 line and the vision line's a cool thing to talk about, because you've obviously partnered with, well, in Vision Line example, you've partnered with Aero for the Vision movie, and then with the 50-1. Yeah. How does that whole sort of process start when it comes to, say, doing 50-1 line or the Vision Line when you're working with sort of elite level athletes?
So, you know, 50-1 line was probably like the first line we kind of built on the hill that was going to be bigger. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the first kind of line that was going to have other people involved in it. Mm-hmm. So we had, you know, I had the idea of building some kind of bigger line up there, and obviously I was talking to my brother about it. He thought it was a good idea, and then I think Sambo was down riding one weekend, and then my brother started talking to him, saying, you know, we're thinking of building some line up on hill. From there, I think, you know, then they obviously, that started that communication between us. I knew him anyway, but that kind of started that communication of building maybe a line with some other people, not just us, kind of thing. And obviously to build a line with 50-1 lot, and, you know, you're not going to say no, are you? Yeah. So, and, you know, we were building bigger stuff then. First time we've kind of really getting into building bigger jumps. So to be able to do it with them people who've got their knowledge of riding bigger stuff, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, it was just, you know, a real good opportunity for all of us involved, I think. So, you know, I think, you know, there's been talk we're going to redo some of that line at some point. That's kind of on the list. It's, you know, give it a bit of a refresh, change a few little bits, and, you know, make it better.
How do you, when you decide to design a line like that, do you like getting a piece of paper out, or are you doing any computer drawings, or are you literally just like, do you start at the top and then just between you and the boys involved, do you just kind of like brainstorm some ideas and then do you just go one by one?
We've never done any like drawings or something, or that kind of stuff.
Just a bit napkin or whatever.
I wouldn't know how to do that. Yeah. You know, every idea starts with where we're going to do it. You know, like what part of the hill we're going to do it on. So, and then, like I said, with that 50-1, we can't. I knew where we were going to build that line, but we didn't really have any idea what we were going to build, like as in where. Or we kind of knew that we wanted to make something that it was bigger than what we'd got. So I think like the first thing we did was like obviously get the trees out. So many trees, and then like a 20-tonner ripped all stumps out. So it's just like a flat away through, and then we met up with Josh and Luce and Sambo, and I can't remember who else come out. I think it was them three the first time, and then them three, me and my brother, we just like kind of walked down it and just started throwing ideas around about what it could end up being, and then I set about in machine building it, and then they'd have come back at some point, and we'd have started finishing off bits and moving little bits around, and and it kind of just worked like that. And the closer we got to kind of it like being sections of it being rideable, they'd all come down, bring a big crew of them, would all finish off that bit, have a session on that bit, and move on to the next bit, kind of thing. So it was a real good project to be involved with them lot, and like I said, they come down and helped us out massively with that.
Yeah. And I guess it's for like in terms of marketing perspective, it's pretty. You can't really beat having some of the best known riders in the world coming to like ride your stuff.
They're amazing, bunch of lads. They're all amazing at riding, and everyone's interested in what they do. So perfect for us, really. Yeah. So
it's it is such a ideal setup, because so often it's like we talked with Vero about our vision line and stuff. So often riders will say build a line or a certain thing for like a video project, and it's obviously amazing to see it. Sometimes absolutely gnarly that they maybe only want to hit once or whatever, and depending where it's built, it'll just kind of get used for that project. It's such a cool setup to see that they can have that, and they can still get their content, or they get to ride it for maybe if it's been backed like a sponsor, whatever. Yeah. But because they build it on your bike park, you guys are then invested in it to actually keep it running. Yeah, well, and it gives it kind of legacy, doesn't it?
Me and Danny, we were up there. We've been up on it for like the last couple of days, and it's like it's better than it were when it started with now. Like,
is this Vision line?
Vision, yeah. We've just doing all weather's been mint for it, so been like redoing all lips and stuff like that. So it's it's gone down really well, like digging wise kind of thing. So everything's better than it probably were. A few sides are a bit trash from people walking up and down them, but we won't go there. But the riding bit's amazing. Yeah. We were looking at it yesterday after we finished. Like, bloody hell, I wish we brought bikes. Yeah. It is good because, it's good. Like I say, it's as good now as it was when it started, which doesn't normally happen, innit? Yeah. Like, you go and look up road now, where we've been digging for that film project, it's all like probably not rideable now, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's cool because I suppose it's amazing to see something that was essentially built for a video project such as Vision, and even 50 to 1 lines, not necessarily for a specific project, but for you to build such a mental trail for Vision to then, I don't know how many, literally hundreds, if not thousands of runs or thousands of people have been down that. It's pretty cool to see this and get used to it.
It's kind of surprising how many people ride it.
Yeah.
Like we kind of, I don't know, kind of thought not, it'd be kind of same as 50 to 1. Yeah. Like there's, people that do ride it, but not loads, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But like the Vision line, you go up there on weekend and there's so many people sessioning it, and I think like it's a lot more rideable than you'd probably think, if you know what I mean. Like once you're into it, you're into it.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, so I think people can probably get through it easier than what they'd expect to do. So, and it's it's good that they've got stuff like that to progress on. And
it's like I said to Vero, like us boys need to come and actually try and try and hit it.
We should go and have a go on it before you go. Because I've
done a bit.
I've not really ridden it.
Rory's like, oh.
I've not ridden it that much recently. So I kind of need to get back into riding it, I think. So.
Well, when I was up there trying to learn how to jump on the Freeride line, which is the easier line, and when you text me saying that you were building Vision, I was like, oh, damn it.
It's kind of...
You mean we can't ride it? Never mind.
Once you ride it, though, it's almost easier than Freeride, because it's a lot... There's just more space, if you know what I mean, and everything kind of works. Well, it doesn't kind of, it does work so well.
Don't want to hear kinda.
As once you're into it, like, it just takes, if you get one right, you get next one, you get next one, you get next one. There's no, like, you don't have to, like on 50 to 1, you've got to vary your speed a bit. So like in between stuff, you might want to try and gain a bit of speed or kill a bit of speed. Yeah. You don't really need to have to do that on any of that Vision line. And like the jumps are just so smooth. Yeah. Like, yeah. We should have a go.
We'll see.
But saying that, I don't really ride it that much either, because I get there and I'm like, oh, I don't like it.
I haven't even seen anyone other than the videos. I've not seen anyone actually ride it in person. Sometimes just seeing someone ride it in person just like makes it look a lot more chill.
You want to watch Cade riding it?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things ever, watching him ride it.
Yeah.
Like the takeoffs are here. The lines are like here where everyone's been taking off, and he's like taking off like 2 foot before even the end at takeoff. It's just insane.
That's cool.
And chaos, to be fair. They're both both the same.
I need to come see those boys ride it, but probably slightly disheartening. When you talk about Vision, like one thing within like the Vision movie, which you guys obviously partnered up with Vero and Adidas, how did it sort of feel to put all that work into that line and then see that? I'm sure you were there in person when it happened, like in person as well as on the film, to see like all those, because there was like such an insane selection of guys riding that, guys and girls riding that. Like how satisfying is that for you after all that work to just watch that session go down?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, you know, it was obviously stuff like that. It's not just me. I've got a crew who help us. Like, so I've got, you know, they did help us. I'm getting new staff at the moment, but like Dave and Baz, who were obviously heavily involved in building that, it was just, you know, it's not just me. There's a crew that do it, and you know, to work with them lot for God knows how long it took us, and then see like the finished thing with, you know, sat there and watching all them lot hit it. It was amazing. You know, or like the first time, like all us lot who'd built it were riding it. It was just,
you just kind of riding it as you go as well, just to make sure all the different sort of sections.
We kind of rode a few sections, but like not loads. By the time we were building that Vision line, we were pretty confident in what we were doing.
Okay.
So we kind of built a lot more than normal without testing it. But look, most of it, we didn't end up changing anything. So it's kind of, it all worked. But yeah, to see all, like I said, see all them riders there and, you know, actually loving it, riding it, was just amazing. So, you know, I'm kind of like everyone else, you know, watch, you know, them pro riders from afar kind of thing, and then to finally have them in the woods riding something that you'd made is, really good.
Make it all worthwhile. Like. Yeah, it's cool. Like you said, need to, now that you've said that we can come ride it, that's what I'm thinking about now. I'm like,
you feel like you're gonna have to come up before you go.
I honestly, like, I'd be completely shitting myself to hit that. But I'm, like you say, like Vero said as well, like, I think maybe I'm hoping if I hit it, it might just go a bit easier than it looks. Maybe.
You just got to get over it first. The first one, like, the first one and the second one on that are by far, for me, the scariest ones on the line. Yeah. And they're not even that bad. I think I'm just getting a bit old and I'm a bit wet now. But, like, all the rest of them are sound. Yeah. And as I say, the first two are sound as well. And, like, Danny, who works for us at the moment, can't understand why I'm probably scared of them. You know what I mean? But like once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
And if you can get towed in by someone who rides it a real lot,
just get that speed right.
All you got to do is hold on. Literally,
I can do that.
That is what you got to do, man. And there is kind of like, there's kind of certain features that you've got to do, isn't there? Because obviously it's a line, but then, you know, you can kind of miss out like the hip, the big hip in the middle of it. You can kind of, there's a few like smaller options to the side of that. See, there is kind of a tamer way through it, but you still got to do all the road gaps and stuff. So.
Yeah, some pretty big gaps. Gaps is not too bad for me. It's more the jumps, I think, as the trials. Yeah. Trials riders.
Yeah, that's the same for me. I'm like longer ones. Not too fussed about them. It's when they're like right steep kickers and you're coming into them at like Mach 10.
Yeah, it's when you're basically coming up to them and all you see is what looks like a fucking wall made of dirt. And you're just like, should I be hitting this? So, have you got any sort of expansion plans or anything, like term for the future?
Bike park?
For revs, yeah.
Well, we're kind of, obviously at the moment, everything's just focused on getting back to where we were. I think obviously that's the main thing. There's been so many changes in the place that we're almost restarting. So, you know, we need to just get up and running, staffed up again. And then, you know, we've always got plans what we want to do there. But in what order and what process, I'm not sure yet. We're having a lot of like forestry work done at the moment. So like the bottom half of the hill is like Japanese larch and there's a tree disease going around the country. It's been in this country for years. That's basically wiping out Japanese larch. So if you actually get that disease on your property, you've got to clear fell. Every tree of that, which would be devastating for us. So we're kind of preempting getting it because it's almost inevitable because it's closing in around us all.
So do you almost like have to just take out like strips of it so it doesn't spread?
So what we're trying to do now is clear fell as much of it as we can to replant with different species. But we're trying to like affect the least amount of bike tracks as we can, because felling trees around division line and stuff like that will just be the end of it basically. So there's a lot of clear felling work going on. So we've lost like a couple of downhill tracks or sections of the downhill tracks, so they'll need rebuilding at some point. So that's kind of one of the jobs in the immediate future, should I say. You know, just building new stuff. We're always going to be building new stuff on that hill. I'm trying to, you know, like I said earlier, I've been doing stuff outside, like different places as well, and so I really want to kind of keep doing.
Yeah, do you think you're going to pursue more sort of media builds and stuff?
I kind of want to keep doing that stuff as well, but I can't do that. I need to do that while still the bike park progressing. So we're kind of like looking now at getting more staff in and people to come and help us so we can almost like get working on two fronts. So that's kind of one of my aims for this year, to get more people in to help so we can do these other projects and also like try and get a bit more time for myself as well. Yeah,
it's always like the first thing to go out the window, isn't it? No, it's interesting when you say that about like the trees. It's just another example of like, no matter what you do or what business you have, there's always so many other things that you would never even either people looking in wouldn't realize you have to deal with, or your sort of former self looking in to the idea of building a bike park would never even consider Japanese larch disease or whatever, which gives potential like an apps like will take loads of your time and effort and money. It's
been, it's a massive thing that's going on, really, the forestry work, but it's something that we have to do it. We've got to do something about it, so there's no time like the present, really. Like short term, it's not ideal because we're getting rid of two 2 downhill tracks we should shut, you know, for the immediate future kind of thing. But long term, it's amazing. Yeah. Like the amount of like new ground we're opening up, and like access for us to be able to get machines around and stuff like that is amazing now compared to what it was. So, like I say, it's one of them things. There's always going to be good things and bad things. Yeah. You know, there's ground. They've done some thinning work up at the top, because if you went like through, like anyone who's ridden at the park will know, if you're riding like near enough main line, the poo pipe at the top, like in evening, like later on in the day, it's near enough dark in there. It's like they've been through and thinned that out, okay. So it's completely different. And while they've done that, we've, you know, there's so much more space up there. There's bits of like a lot of land up there that we've never even like probably set foot on, that we could get like loads more tracks in. So, you know,
endless possibilities.
Yeah, really, yeah.
That's cool. Well, we've had you for over an hour. Like most of my guests, I always promise, I always tease you over with the idea of going riding. So we'll get riding. Just for people listening, I suppose, that want to come visit Revs, what would be the first sort of port of call to kind of look into that?
The website,
yeah.
You know, Revolution Bike Park, and it's got all the info you need on that. Bookings are all done through that, you know. And then we've obviously got our Facebook page and Instagram. So
what's your Insta?
Revolution BP.
Just Revolution BP. Cool.
Yeah, and then just Revolution Bike Park on Facebook as well.
Nice one.
So
go check out. I definitely urge people to go ride there when it's finally open. But I guess just keep updated for when that will actually be.
Yeah, and, hopefully, you know, sometime next month.
Remember, take your full face helmets and
full face
don't forget
helmets and knee pads.
Don't forget your knee pads and helmet, like me and Rory did last week. Nice one. Cheers, dude.
Right, thanks a lot. Cheers.